Welcome back everyone to another week of Procrastination Garage. Had kind of a few life events recently. Thought let you guys know things have changed a little bit. Just priorities, I guess, a little bit. My stepdad, my mum's partner, actually passed away about a month ago now. Pretty young, 62. On his way to work, just a normal day in the morning, yeah. So, hasn't been a whole lot going on car-wise. Just having a bit of a downtime, spend some time with the family, spend some time with my mum. As you can imagine, she's taking it pretty hard. Yeah, no real nice way about going about it, but be a few changes. I've definitely kind of slowed down a little bit, spent a bit of time with the family. It was a bit of an eye-opener for me. I know I spent a lot of time working on everything and always out doing stuff, so it's been a bit of a wake-up call, I guess. Who knows what's around the corner? Who was on his way to work? Yeah. Anyway, enough with the downer stuff. That's what's going on. Nothing we can do about it. Unfortunately, as much as it sucks, life goes on. But we'll get there. So my plan for this week is we've actually got Jimmy's car out of the garage, so I've got a bit of room to kind of tinker around with the 34, but at the moment the garage is just a pigsty from doing little odds and ends jobs around the house. I've been wanting to do some stuff, so yeah, we've been doing that. We've actually picked up a camper trailer, so hopefully we can start going camping with the family and get back to that family time that I've been missing. So yeah, unfortunately the racing's great, it's awesome fun, but it's definitely kind of a one person thing. It's not really a family thing. I can't have them with me, so it does feel a bit selfish at times. So yeah, I just want to get back to camping. We loved our camping, the wife and I, before our young fellow was born. So we'll get back to some of that. Hopefully take you guys on some adventures with a bit of the camping stuff, all driving that we might go do. But yeah, as for the 34, that radium box there, that's the surge that I've been waiting for. So the tank's in the car, that's just sitting there roughly where I want it. I've got all my pumps, I've got pretty much everything now to do the fuel system. So we'll see how we go with that, whether we get time. I want to try and button up some of the projects we did have, getting the brake calipers on the rear now that the rotors are drilled, getting the ride height sensors front and rear, changing out the other side of the front J-arm to match, because obviously this side here I haven't done the spacer between the J-arm to fit the new 280mm tyre, so I'll get that done. It's just going to be buttoning up some projects before I kind of start on the next thing, because next up is going to be getting fuel cell mounted. Savvy's come through with a good stick savvy from there. They've got the tank made up, and I've even got a new dry sump pump here. So we'll hopefully get that done. They've made all the mounts, all the mandrel, everything's there. So that's all good to go. I'll give you a little peek of the radium box. Oh, here we go. So that is the fuel pump hanger. Sec. Yeah. There we go. So this is their new style one. So from what I understand, with the old one, or their previous model, if you wanted to get to your fuel pumps, you had to undo the whole lot. and then lift out the whole thing to get to your lift pump, or then you had to undo these to get to your pumps for your surge tank. So their new design now has these 3 and then these 6, and then you actually lift out this whole module so you can get to all your pumps nice and quickly. You don't have to go fishing around in the fuel, so that's pretty cool. I'm actually intrigued if my filler neck's going to fit. I think that might be for the old style. Maybe, maybe not. I don't think it's going to fit. It does not. Well, that's a bit annoying. Oh well. We have to work out what we do there. Anyway. But yeah. Race work come through the goods. We've got the 500 intake pumps, so 2 main pumps, 1 lift. We've got the level sensor, vent kit, fuel filler that doesn't appear like it's going to fit, but anyway, we'll get through it. Yeah, but like I said, first up, I just want to give the place a clean. It's just been kind of a dump site after helping mum and being away, and yeah, we've been all over the place. So get to a bit of a tidy up and then go from there. Alright, garage clean, much better. So, the other week we did that CAD design, doing the diffuser for Myles. So we went actually and got 2 cut, 1 for Myles, 1 for myself. Just, yeah, try not to get sidetracked, but that looks pretty good. I think we should be pretty good for heights underneath, so that'll be nice, but we'll put that aside as a bit of a future project, because that's definitely not important to get the car running. What is important, we've got to get ride height sensors done and the front spaces. So just got everything back out. That's that space that we need to do. They are the 2 Torrington bearings that we used in the upper J-arm to take out that bind that we had. Basically the rest of this is all for the ride height sensors, which in reality aren't overly imperative. They definitely don't need them to get the car on the track, but while we're at it, let's just get it all done. So we've got pretty much this side buttoned up. It's now just going to be putting it all on the other side. The fact that we've worked it all out over here should mean that I don't need to do a whole lot of math or working out or running everything through the motion. It should just be now a case of measure and just replicate what we've already done. So hopefully it should roll on pretty easy. The next thing I do have to work out still is the brake lines. I think I said to you guys the other week is that's a 10mm fitting, whereas the line that I've got is 3/8. One thing I did want to do is I really wanted to have 4 matching brake lines on the car, so that I could just get away with having like 2 spares would do all 4 corners. So I might look into getting some new ones made up. I've actually noticed that with that last off that we must have had, we've actually hurt that brake line. So I'm going to need to get a new brake line here made. So I'm wondering if we just take the opportunity to get 4 new lines made up, all the same, so that we can just have, yeah, a common spare. 2 birds, 1 stone. So fixes the front, need a new one there. and sorts out the rear brake lines. So anyway, I reckon might start with front, start stripping all the brake rotors off, lighten that up so that then we can pull the J-arm out. I will actually, one thing I forgot about is I'll need to take that spacer down and chuck that in the lathe to make that a bit smaller. And I'll just need to measure up on this side what I did so I can replicate it, because I've got spacer there, but that has actually been shortened. So once again, like I said, I'm just going to need to sit down and replicate everything. So let's go with it. All right, next day, I'm going to start just stripping off all of the front suspension from that right hand side. So I'll chuck you guys in a time lapse and we'll start pulling all that apart. So let's go. Alright, so got shocks reset. So the other shock basically from that point there to there was 200 mil. This here was 110, but because we've put that 15 mil of spacer underneath the J-arm, that lifts the J-arm up. So I've actually shortened that to 100 mil. So that's 15. We've taken 10 out of there. I figure that's just going to put the ride height a little bit high. And for now, that should be fine. That means we can get the car on the ground. It's all going to have to get corner weighted, wheel aligned, everything again anyway. So it'll just give me a good starting point. It'll be a bit high. I can lower it down. I know that I've got 5 mil to play with, but the top for the J-arm. So at the moment, that's measuring out to 129 mil. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. The width in between the upper control arm is 116 mil. So last time all I did was chucked it in the lathe and took a bit off. Now I don't have the lathe here at home. That's down at the Phoenix workshop, so I can't be bothered going for a drive all the way down there. I'm just going to chuck these in the bandsaw. I got a pretty good cut out of that anyway, so I should be able to just set it up in there. I'm going to take a bit off of both ends because, as you probably saw when I'm knocking it out, it's been knocked in and out a few times. It's got a little bit of an average end on it, so we'll chop off both ends just to give it all a fresh start, and we'll 116, we'll take it down to 116 mil as an overall height, so it should be good. So unfortunately the saw was cutting like garbage. I think the blades are knackered on it. It used to cut really nice, but it's just not at the moment. But cleaned everything up just with the grinder. Just did a quick little test fit. That fits in there nice and snug. No real movement. Obviously bolt's not locked down, but that's what we're going for, is just being able to have that rotation. So now I'll strip that back apart, press the bushings back into the J-arm, press this sleeve back into the J-arm, and then we'll just have to cut down the bush on the front side of it to match what has been done on the other side. Other than that, it's all going pretty well. I would like to get in here. It's all just grotty and grimy from the oil leaks when we were out at round 2 or round 1 state series, second round that we did this year in February. Anyway, then binning it into the gravel trap. There's still gravel all through it and sand and all sorts, but motor's got to come out so we can get the dry sump on. So my plan is to get it back on all 4 wheels and rolling, get all this suspension stuff done. That way then I can move it out, give everything a pressure wash, and then we can pull the engine out. That'll be a good day. So let's keep going. Well, that was a whole lot easier than last time. So, we've got that bush pushed in, I've got that bush trimmed down. Now, I'm going to go back over to the car. We should be able to put that in the upper control arm. We should be able to use our spacer, put that in the lower control, or put that in the J-arm to space it. Then we should be good to throw the shock back in. I'm going to put it back in without the spring, just so I can run it through the cycle, because I remembered on this side, we did end up having to just do a bit of clearancing on the J-arm to the upper control arm. So without the spring in there, I'll be able to just run that through its motion. I'll do the same as what I did on this side. I'll run the droop strap all the way to its lowest point, and then we'll start looking at setting the ride height sensor in to the other side. Kicking some goals, it's good. Fingers crossed we can just keep going like this and it just keeps working. Alright, that's awesome. So shock fully in the bump rubber, basically bottomed out there. Clearance on the J-arm to the upper control arm. Nothing's binding here. Everything looks good as we want it to. So the fact that the other side we've got sorted, now we just know that this side's just going to work. So next up, I reckon we'll get the front ride height sensor in. So that's on that bolt just here. We'll run that up. We should be good. A couple of nice little wins. Once we get that done, I'll throw the rotor back on. Probably just spanner everything, just make sure everything is still tight, but the fact that we haven't really played with it like we had to the other side should be pretty good. Keep going. Keen to see it back on the ground with the new tyre on it. So with front suspension done, just done a bit of a tidy up again. Now, I reckon we get on to doing the rod height sensors. So we've already got the little bracket made up for on the lower control arm. So we'll go through, might chuck that on now. This here kind of mounted, there's only really one spot you can mount it. When I had a look at this side, I was just trying to remember what we did. It's pushed up hard against here, and then it's pretty much flush with the bottom seam. So what I'll probably do is I reckon I'm going to cut down the other push rod. This one here is basically, it's just buried in as far as it can go. So I'll do that, bury it as far as we can, make it as short as possible, and then we should be good. I'm gonna have a look over the other side, because the only thing that we've got over there that I don't on this side is we've got the oil lines. So I just want to make sure on this side you can kind of see nuts are sticking out, whereas this side we're not really going to have that same room with that oil line there. Looks like it comes away far enough at the back there, we might be alright, but we'll just have a look, see how we go. Other than that, it's all going pretty good, so keep going with it. Alright, now the fun part. So GoPro went flat, but all I've done is I've just finished the wiring, wired up the sensors to the bulkhead plugs. So we've got left and right hand side done. Something's going on with the right hand side, but we'll work that out. Now what I've done is we've got to calibrate it. So what I've done here is I've pushed that wheel all the way up into full bump stop. So that to me is 0 mil, there's no trouble. Hopping on the Howtech, we've got the NSP software open, and from here I can actually read the voltage. So 3.48, so I've just set here 3.45 is our 0, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the shock down in 10 mil increments. So we're only allowed 8 cells in here. So I'll lower this down 10 mil. Whatever the voltage is here, I'll put up here. So I'll start doing that and you can kind of watch it go, but it's just going to be a bit of going from in and out the car and measuring. And I'm thinking I'll probably try and set up something here so that I can lower it and then raise it and keep everything on point. Even if I take the measurement to the center of the wheel stud or the underside here, it kind of doesn't matter what the number is, just as long as we're consistent to the same point. So we'll yeah, try and work that out and keep getting on with it. Alright, so to this wheel stud, I've got 100 mil. So I'll put it down, 10. Right, that's down 10 mil. We're at 3.3 volts. Come down another 10. There we go. Yeah, 3.1. I think we're going to have to go in bigger increments because that's 10 mil wheel travel. I think we're going to have to go 20 mil at the wheel travel. So the next one goes, we're down to 40. at 2.7 volts now at 40 mil. Go down to 60 mil. Look, bit low. $60 and we have 2.3 volts. Let's get to 80. $1.9 volts. 100. So 100 mil trouble there, and we are at 1.5 volts. A bit further. We're not quite on the limb strap yet. There we go. Oh, 120 mil. And that there is currently 1.05 volts. Alright. Now, the nice part about it is if you have a look, that whole sweep there is nice and linear. So my guess is that calibration is going to be pretty good. What I will do is when I get the car on the ground, obviously it'll sit, I'm guessing somewhere maybe around here, I'm not too sure. Then I'll be able to go back through and work out what, I could either leave it as this, as there's no more compression, or I could actually use this to set as ride height. So we'll see how we go. I don't know if I wanted to know that I've got 20 mil of compression left, or if I want to know what the ride height's setting at. We'll see. Super productive day today. I've just done the calibration on the right hand side, and what's cool now is, so our right side we have 122 mil, our front left side we have 122 mil. So that's just on our droop limiters. So that's actually flush. And that one over there is flush as well. So now we know that from full bump, full ride height and that, when we're sitting level on the ground, those numbers should all be equal left to right. So that's kind of pretty cool. With our shocks adjusted the same, the body's adjusted the same, the full bump should be in the same position, our droop limiters are in the same position, and we've got the same numbers on our calibration. Should all be bang on now, so pretty awesome. Cracker of a day yesterday. As you saw in that last time lapse, got all the shocks put back together, cleaned up, just measured them, made sure we did have everything spot on left to right, which they were, which is awesome. I've spun it over the front suspension on both sides and just gone through and double checked that everything is the same, so pretty happy with that. Droop limiters are back in. Basically front end's done. That's been a massive job that I'm stoked that we're over the hill and we're done. So yeah, pretty happy. Next up's the rear. I think I'm just going to get the rear calipers on both sides I've got to drop the subframe to remove the fuel tank, so I'm thinking that I might just end up dropping the whole subframe. Then I'll be able to get to the brake lines that are currently in the car. Yeah, I'm still unsure what to do with the brake lines. There's a couple of easy ways, a couple of harder ways, and then the right way that I'd actually like to do it. But right way would be, I want to get rid of this brake line that meets up with, that goes through the floor there, doubles back and meets up with the original brake lines. I'd like to run something just along here up to the back, tee off, and then run to each side so that the rear brake lines are actually inside the car. Not that it's a huge thing, but I did it on Jeff's car and I quite liked how it worked. But I'm just going to get the calipers on. That way then I know where the soft lines that I've got will reach, and then decide from there how much time I want to spend on it. I might have a look at if I've got the parts to even do it. I know I've got a bit of brake line sitting around, but whether I've got enough to do the whole lot, that might be the decider. So anyway, calipers on, rotors on, get that done and see where I sit. Alright, we've had a win. Raceworks have these little adapters. Oh, I had the other one, I think I'll put it over the other side. So that there just adapts it from the Dash 3 as almost like a bulkhead fitting. So that there, oh, hang on, has meant that we've been able to screw our brake line from the wheelwood into there, and then run our hard line into there. So that's been cool. So brake line on passenger side is done. I'm just struggling with room a bit, so I think we might get a little bit sidetracked. I feel like we made some good progress. I just want to chuck the surge, because that's a big box, into the tank, mainly because it'll make me feel a little warm and fuzzy and just gets rid of some stuff, condenses it all. And yeah, I'm just running out of room, so might put that together quickly. So my excuse for doing the fuel cell was so that I could clean up and condense things. That hasn't happened. I got a mess everywhere. I like these set up, so we're obviously able to run up to 3 pumps in the lift area. So it's got all the wiring here for brushless or just your normal 2 wire like I've got. Same with your lift pump. So we've set that up. We've got all the pumps in there. I've got all the hoses on. I don't have the fittings on. The Walbro pumps have a weird little black wire coming off them that I'm not too sure about. So make a phone call to Dougie today from Amble and see what the go is there. Other than that, I should be able to condense all this kind of stuff now into one box package just for the Radium gear. For some reason though, they do seem to run metric and imperial. Some stuff's metric, some stuff's imperial. I don't know what the go is there, but I've got decent Allen keys, so it's not like the Allen keys are worn out and giving me false stuff, but who knows. But give the place a tidy up. Might try and get that other rear brake line done now that I can actually get around there easily. Then we should be able to get both the back wheels on the car as well. So back wheels will be on the car, brakes will be on. Could nearly bleed up the back brakes. See how we go. Fun times. It's been a mega week. We've got obviously front done, rear's done. One thing I didn't account for, I thought it might be okay, but also, yeah, who knows, is that the brake lines, I don't know if you guys can see very well down there, the brake lines come out and they're actually touching on the rim. So I think I'll get a fitting that comes straight out the back here, and then I can just run the hose and put a bit of a loop in it to come back up. But I reckon that's going to be for another week. Other than that, I haven't seen this car wheels on it for a while, so pretty stoked with that. Next is just going to be probably try and get that rear brake line finished. Then I wouldn't mind trying to get the car on the ground and get the ride height set. Not really a necessity, but good to do. But yeah, I reckon I'm going to leave it there for the week. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Made a bit of progress on the 34 again. And we'll see what next week brings. Cheers everyone. Have a good week. Bye.